This show is brought to you by DF Studios Limited. Whether you're a business owner or entrepreneur, DF Studios will guide and assist you on the best ways to promote your brand digitally, in addition to creating visitor and customer generating content like blogs, social media posts, videos, and even podcasts like this one you're listening to right now. Visit dfstudiosltd.com or hit up info@dfstudiosltd.com for more info. So let's finally talk about The Whale. And while this was not one of my highly anticipated films of last year, just the buzz that was surrounding it, even before it dropped in theaters in the States, though, had me really interested, right?
Yeah.
And it's from our go-to uh film production company when it comes to just different films,
Right.
distinct films. E24, I was like, yeah, well, yeah, would, right?
Right.
Um,
And
but
who's directed by?
Yes.
Yeah.
Darren Aronofsky, right? And I'll talk about his work throughout my review of it, right? But I want you to do the synopsis, right? But
Sure.
that's a little preamble, right? So yeah, it's from E24, and I won't lie though, E24 has been just knocking it out of the park this year. Sorry, last year, right?
Yeah.
In my review of Causeway, I said that I have a feeling that the way how that show was made, I have a feeling that The Whale is the exact way, and the way it is, right? In the sense that it's a small cast. You have, big leads, if you will, right? So in this case, Brendan Fraser, Hong Chow, we have Samantha Morton. It took me a hot minute. I was watching, feels like, all right, Sadie Sink. She is from Stranger Things, right? She plays Max. She was like one of the big central characters in season 4, right? The whole Kate Moss song and all that stuff that was blowing up. It was off of her character because that was the song that she was listening to, for reasons. I don't want to spoil anything beyond that, right? But yeah, she's in it as well too, right? Also, the budget, it looks it kind of looks kind of small though. I don't want to say cheap, but it looks
Well,
small.
I
It
mean,
doesn't look like they spent a lot of money on it.
it just, yeah, because I mean, it's effectively a bottle film, for the most part.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, which surprised me though, in terms of just how, like, just the setting of it, right?
Right.
Which, if you don't bring it up in your synopsis, I will bring it up in my review most likely, right? But yeah, the big sell, of course, is Brendan Fraser, right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing this obese, guy, right? And just the really effective makeup and prosthetics done to him though. I like seeing it for myself. Yeah, he looks quite believable though. I won't lie. Like, in my head, like, I was like hoping that it wasn't gonna be played for laughs, like, say, Eddie Murphy in the Nutty Professor. While that show had great prosthetics, yeah, it was clearly for laughs, right? So yes, you're laughing at the big ass, you're laughing at the big belly and the white
Right.
hips and all that kind of stuff. Here, it feels like, yes, this is this overweight guy who is, yeah, clearly needs medical help, right?
Right.
Um, but last thing though, yes, it is directed by Darren Aronofsky, right? Who I would say, yes, is a provocateur when it comes to his films, right? And he really dabbles well in psychological films, right? Whether it's the great Requiem for a Dream, which is still a show that I've watched once and I never watch again because, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just
You don't need to see. You don't need to see ass more than once, right? So,
no.
yeah.
That bashed me over the head, and I don't need to see it again, right? But quite well, I must say, right? He did stuff like Pie, right? Which is still one of
Right.
what I would say is one of the most impressive debut features I would say ever made, right? The Wrestler, I mean, solid film as well
Right.
too.
Love this
Haven't
one.
recapped it, but I really should watch it over again. Because Mickey Rourke was fantastic in that. Black Swan, I mean, one of my favorite
Right.
films of 2010. McGill, Natalie Portman won an Oscar for this, and just how that character just went. Just that that spiral into madness was fascinating for me, right? Of course, Mother, I mean, one of our
Mother. Yeah.
favorite films of 2017. Love that
Right.
film. And I'll close with this because I'm actually gonna bring this up in my review of it. Noah,
Right.
which
Okay.
is still a film that I wholeheartedly defend, and
Okay.
I'm saying this as a Christian, right? That, yeah, I defend that show, right? A lot of
Right.
people call it blasphemous and say, oh, you could tell the story about Noah and the Ark and do all this stuff and make all these creative changes. Like, look, I totally understand where this guy is coming from. It's meant to be provocative, like that. That's how I don't want to go into detail into my thoughts on Noah, but yeah, even when I saw it in theaters, I defended that show, and I still do, right? But yeah, because why I will bring up Noah in in my review here is, yeah, the show, much to my surprise, touches on religion, right? Well, I should say
Right.
that and Mother also touches on religion, right? But it's how it touches on it, right? I would say in a very realistic way, um, albeit in a very cynical way, right? And I know for sure that will really get under people's nerves, right? But it's not so much just the religious aspects that will get under people's nerves. I would say it's just the cynical nature of the show itself. Intentionally, I must say, that
Right.
will get under people's nerves. And it's not surprised. I actually saw this after the fact. Yeah, people were kind of split on this. Like, there's people who really praise the show, especially with Brendan Fraser's performance. And
Right.
yeah, I've been seeing it for myself. It's not surprising that the man got nominated for Best Actor. I thought that
Right.
he killed it, like absolutely killed it in this show, right? But yeah, just the cynical tone of it and what goes on. Yeah, I'm not surprised that this, rub some people off the wrong way, right? But anyway, Ricardo, take it away. What is the
Sure.
wheel about?
Right. So Brendan Fraser plays Charlie, right? A very, very overweight English professor. He kind of, well, he effectively is a recluse, and he teach like online courses, writing courses, I think, for college, right?
Yes,
Uh,
yes. Mhm.
right. Yeah. Basically, he just disappear. He keep his webcam off.
Yeah,
Uh,
he makes the excuse that his webcam isn't working, right?
right.
And
Right. Right.
and fun fact, right? If I was signed up to one of those online courses, I was not seeing the lecturer. I asked him, I asked him for a refund, Shit.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway,
Right.
go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So he taken care by his basically his only friend, this nurse called Liz, who tell him, look, you have a risk of heart failure. You should visit the hospital, but he just refused to do that, and I think because of the medical debt. And then he's also visited by this guy called what's his name? Tom. Yeah, who's like this.
Thomas, yeah.
Right, Thomas. Right, yeah, who's a missionary for I don't know. He's like not Jehovah's Witness. Like a
Or
Latter-day Saint.
it's implied that it is GW, right? Because
Okay.
I don't wanna all right. So that's off the cuff. I'm not like knocking GWs because I'm not. But the whole idea of, oh well, the world is gonna come to an end and
Okay.
eventually we're gonna have paradise on earth. That's GW stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's part of a certain, not so much denomination, but that's a church, if you will.
Okay. Right.
That's what it is.
I can't remember the name of the church, to be honest. But yeah,
It's
it's
oh gosh, what was it, boy? It's I think it's New Life Church. That's what it's
it's
called.
actually
Yeah.
okay. All right, no problem. Yeah, so yeah, because I was watching it for last thinking he was we call it Latter-day Saints now, Mormons. I thought he was a Mormon.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
somebody actually calls him up to it, like, are you a Mormon? Yeah.
okay, yeah. But yeah, right. So he's ordered pizza. He does terrible routine, delivery thing. And another big thing about it is right that he had to reconnect with his teenage daughter. And well, he's also a gay man. So he left his wife for this man for years ago, and
Mm.
so on and so forth. And just him spiraling into binge eating and just being sad and particular.
And debt actually, like,
And
yeah,
right, just
yeah,
just sad. Uh that's it.
yeah.
That's what the whole unfortunate thing about it. And it's just him having to deal with these issues and so on and so forth. And I kinda hated it. I cannot believe I say it.
Is it because your expectations are high because it was an Aronofsky film, or
Well,
is it
I
content?
know it's an Aronofsky film. I'm not expecting the high part because I'm not a big fan of Noah either. Like I
Okay,
know
okay.
it's not like Aronofsky's not some perfect person. When he's good,
Right. Mm.
he's not. When he's good, he's great, right? But I was expecting. I mean, I had a little bit of expectation, but I was expecting this to be wrestler. Like it's your wrestler.
Yes,
It's your
yes.
wrestler nail that pathology of him, just life just passing by and people passing by. I was expecting wrestler all over again, but it's just from a different side of it, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that at all, and I just
Yeah,
thought,
we kind of get I don't want to say a watered down version, get it wheel, right? But we get a kind of a lighter version
light
of
wrestler,
Requiem for a Dream, though, because
right? A
it
little bit
is
of
that
that.
same downward spiral, but it's not true,
Well, it also
psychosis or
had
madness. It's true like addiction, basically, right? Yeah.
oh gosh, well this is not what's the name of the movie? This is not an Aronofsky film. Shit. What's the name of the movie with Brad Pitt and shit? What's the name of the movie, boy? It'll slip.
It'll come in. It'll come in. All right.
It'll
So
come. But yeah, I guess the main problem I think is the pacing, right? It I just didn't like the pacing. It wasn't working for me at all. And it just like now here's the thing, these kind of movies you had to sit down and watch by yourself. Take your time. So I'll admit I didn't went to the right like thing. I was just a little hungry, a little impatient. So I'll admit that. But I still felt it was just kind of slow and it just wasn't working for me. And I don't know what they could have do. And it probably had to cook in my mind a little better of what they could have changed or what it is. But the main problem was the pacing. I just didn't like the pacing at all. Like Fraser was good. Didn't have a problem with him. Characters bouncing off each other was good. The nurse was good. I forget the actress name. She was in the menu.
Yeah, Hong Chow.
Oh, Chow, right.
Who
She
also is nominated for Best Supported Actress.
right.
Yeah, I understand, and it's so funny that she is going up against Stephanie Su. So yeah, we have two Asian Americans going up for Best Supported, right? But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All of that is fine, but I just this wasn't. It just wasn't working for me in terms of just the. I think okay. I'll tell you my problem with it too. It was trying to be contemplative and whatnot, but it just came across more just exploitative. Like they was trying to sell that, but like it just had scenes that were just more, oh, I'm not supposed to laugh at this, but why are you shooting it like this? And why it cut like this? And
I know.
you know, you see my point?
Yeah, I do.
It's weird. It have like a weird, like a bunch of bad, weird choices that, again, what Aronofsky does is that he'll take a situation and just make it truly like horrifying. And I didn't get that at all with this. And I don't know why.
Well, there was moments I was bordering on horrific, but it's more like you don't want the character to do what he's doing, but it's like, no, he just does not care at this point. You're like, dog,
Right.
like you really should know better. It's one of those. It's a kind of a weird thing they do, right? Like
Right.
on the one hand, you think the character should know better, but you understand, yeah, I've been through all this hell, but still, it's like,
Right.
dog, you're about to die. Why are you doing this, right? But
Right.
go on.
And I get that. I get that the whole you have no control and they get into all of that. But it's just how it was shot and put together. It's like, yeah, this is not flowing for me particularly well. And I just not feeling it at all. Oh, the movie I don't remember off the top of my head. It reminded me a little bit at the ending, a little bit of Terrence Malick. A little bit.
Yes, you're right. The
Tree of
Tree
Life.
of Life. Yes,
Tree of Life, right.
yes, I was thinking the same thing too.
Right.
You're
I was
right.
trying to
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Right.
and
Which
yes,
I'll bring up in my review,
and that
right? It's
that
just
part was
like
good. Like, but it come together in the ending for me because the last piece with the daughter reading the thing, like, all right, that working.
yeah, that was genuinely beautiful. I
Yeah,
must say, yeah.
they flash into thing, you walk and they cut and the thing, and like, all right, you can see the whole film like revolve around this kind of thing, and then well, we're not sure what happened to him, but we don't know if he dead or he seemed to be like, going to heaven or whatever. It's like, the way they shoot it, right? And I don't think it's that, but like my interpretation is that he probably just had a heart attack. Like he started actually had a heart attack and now he's in real trouble. Like that's what I feel happened because they just cut it and leave it there. I don't know. That's just my interpretation. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I felt main problem pacing, and I felt this could have probably been shorter. That is my only issue. Like they just get into the whole him taking and he had a vomit and he had thing. And like, look, I get why that for, but they could have put that a little better and make it sell it a little better as a conceit, because of his addiction and how he's so bad and such a mess and whatever it is. But I surprised I don't like this. I like the director, big fan of the director, loved Mother, loved most of it, but this just didn't work for me, to be honest. I just me.
All right. Well, I get where you're coming from, right? So for me, I didn't love this film. I didn't like it neither, but I just accepted it for what it is.
Yes.
I didn't think it was bad though. I didn't think it was trash.
No, like I don't think it's bad, Like I just find it just not working. That don't mean it objectively bad or anything like that. It's just because it's the talent is still there. It's still well made for what it is or anything like that. But it just, I don't know. You had something had to move in a different part or whatever it is to make it work. That's how I feel about it. It just, parts of the move around now to have it to have it come together a little better because it's just not gelling. That's the difference. Not bad, but not gelling. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, I think part of the reason too is the setting of it, right? And it's only when the movie ended I was telling myself, why this feeling like a Playboy? And then I realized, oh, it's based on the play of. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
That's kind of another problem. Even though I don't think it's that bad because it doesn't feel too much like the film in a play problem to her.
No, yeah, I know you like to bring up that, yeah.
Yeah, that was never feeling like that, but yeah, because it was working with the space in 3 dimensions and like that is one small moment, like when he had the little gripper thing and he's trying to grip the key. And he click it and it go on the thing. Like little moments like that. Like you just feel the hope drive out him because he can't do shit about that. Period.
Right,
Things,
exactly.
like that stuff like that is work, kind of. But because the overall thing was like, well, I'm not getting the translation of him being unreasonable and him not being able to get out of this compared to what he could be doing otherwise. No? And that was my problem with it. It's like, yeah, they didn't really sell the depression enough, or that's what I'm saying. So there's all little small things. And I just cause I watched the movie last night, so it's still not really, it didn't cook in my head yet. But I don't know.
Well, I watched it this morning actually, so I still have a lot to process as well. Yeah.
Right. But it didn't cook in my head yet, but I'm still not feeling it in terms of like what we could have done better in that sense. But it's just not gelling. Like I wasn't feeling like, I'll put it as succinctly as I can, the best of my ability. I wasn't feeling sorry for him.
Okay.
Compared to a wrestler, where you really get a sense of feeling sorry for Mickey Rourke character now. Like after the character, yeah. And that really sell that suffering better. But this was like, well, he just kind of shitty on about the thing, and because the story frames him as not the best guy, because especially with him leaving his family, like even though the circumstances of him leaving his family, it was just that kind of rush job, and like the mother coming in and kind of pull him up on that. That was a good scene. It individually there, the parts there, but it's the last line I'm gonna say from a point is that it doesn't go beyond the sum of its parts. That's all I'll say. It's not more than the sum of its. It's one of that. That's how I feel about it.
All right. I got you, right. So I would say just admittedly, it is it's uneven, right? In terms of the tone, in terms of the message, right? But it still kept me engaged, right? I mean, for better or for worse, right? It was one of those shows that, yeah, even though I wasn't enjoying what I was seeing, I'll explain why, right? I kind of had to see things play out, right? Reason why I'm saying it is I'm not enjoying it, right? Yeah, I would say just from an emotional standpoint, this is bleak though, right? Characters are just cynical, and I don't want to say for the sake of being cynical, but that's just the way how they're written, I guess. You know what I mean? That's how the play is. You know what I mean? I guess, right? Case in point, a character that I wanted to like though, but sorry, this moments with her just had me kind of pissed off when she was there. Sorry to say it, Sadie Sink, who plays Ellie. Like, yes, I mean the actress is great, right? But I just find like Ellie, boy, was just such a, all right, so I don't want to say the C word, boy, but she was just such a bitch, boy, like towards Charlie, right? And I understand why, right? That's the thing, right? The show justifies why she is this way. I get it. I understand. She, her father, Charlie, left her when she was 8 for this thing, with this relationship, and she didn't work, and blah, 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 and child support money, blah, 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 all that stuff. I totally understand her. But there's moments where she literally is just demeaning this guy just because, oh, well, and the show kind of goes out his way to say, well, she's 16 and, well, that's how it is. But then, like, there's a great moment where Liz come and say, no, I was 16 too, and I was doing shit too, but I don't mean you had to be acting like this too. It was just one line. I love that, right? So, but to be fair, right, the show, like, Ellie does go through some change throughout the show, right? She does grow, right? She does develop, right? But just, there were times, boy, where she was just, I don't want to sound like some, like some old guy, but she was just rude for the sake of it. She was just ungrateful for the sake of it. I get why, again, but it was just like, why you being like that? You know what I mean? I'll try an example, right? Without spoiling anything, right? There's a moment involving her and Thomas, right? And it's just her pretty much coercing him to do something that in her head, she just kind of say, oh, well, let's do this, right? But then we learned that, Thomas himself actually used to do it. And that was one of the reasons why he is doing what he's doing right now. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But the way how she pushed the guy, though, like just pushed him. And then afterwards saying, oh, I'm just fucking with you. Oh, I just keep pushing the guy like, bitch, what the fuck wrong with you? Why are you doing this for, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like, it was just like, why are you doing this?
I get everybody's asshole kind of thing, Again,
that the cynical aspect is what.
But that's the thing. I get. The problem with that, but there's part of my problem with the movie that again, you're doing the whole everybody sucks, but they still deserve grace. Right.
Which is kind of like Charlie's MO, right? And that's exactly. He's always telling Ellie, yeah, you know what I mean? You deserve love too, but yeah, I'm a piece of shit, and
I get all of that. But the problem is but the problem is that and this might be the film and the play part aspect of it is that we just jump into the narrative as it is. I have not. What is a book as well? Is there a book written for it as well? I don't really play at all.
No, I think it's just a play. I think it's just a
right. So I don't really play at all. So I have no. Like, I don't know what to reference or how the story is or anything like that, right? I just went into the movie more or less as blind as I could. And yeah, you get a sense of it just because it drops you in the middle of the situation and you have to piece together a little too much for it to make sense in that sense in terms of character. With that's something that a play would have sell better now. And that part is probably the film and the play part, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So because with a play, you just jump in, no characters, and you're supposed to, you had to reach. So I don't know. Again, a different, but look, is the type of filmmaker, and who we talking about too. So he's the kind of man who'll just drop in a situation, and for the most part, it works. For the most part.
Yeah.
But this, I don't know, just did not gel.
Honestly, it just needs some punch up. But yeah, the cynical aspect was a turn off for me. But I understand, given the tone of the show, what they're going for, right? But speaking of tone now, the show just kind of balances unevenly, I must say, between, okay, this character's self-destruction here. We're seeing this right in front of our eyes. We know that he's going to die. And like mentally I'm screaming at this guy, dude, people are telling you to go to the hospital. Like literally everybody who shows up in this film telling Charlie, go to the hospital. He's like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital, right? I've seen this before. I know how this thing plays out, right? Like in real life and in film, right? But yeah, but at the same time, you want us to feel sorry for him as well too, because look at how fat he is and how he could barely move and all that kind of stuff, right? And yes, this is where I just read a couple reviews, but this is where some people had issues with the film, right? So while I was watching this thing, we always talk about black suffering in films, right?
Right.
This is kind of like fat suffering,
a little bit.
A little.
Like, so I
would say it is actually,
again. I know a lot of people complain about this. It's a little fat phobic and so on. And I wasn't thinking of that at all, because again, you could do that and frame it, but I do think yes. It does a big exploitative aspect of that angle, because he had a thing and then he had to eat the thing and he had to vomit and so on. So I you didn't need to do all of that. Like my thing is that you gotta sell that without doing all of that. Like I get it, but because Aronofsky's style don't really flow, that's his strength, but it don't flow with the story.
Right.
That's all about that.
And I had to bring this up now. Well, speaking of Aronofsky. I mean, yes, he does his thing. I mean, this is not the first time I actually come to think of it that he's done, the film based inside of a house, right? Like, look at Mother, for example, right? But yeah, I do agree with you, when it comes to those moments, he has to make it look all dark, right? So there's a moment, literally, this slight spoiler, where it's just, Charlie just gorging out on pizza and gorging out on all these snacks and whatnot. And they're just playing this dark music, and the way how it's lit and whatnot, it just makes it seem literally like we watching sort of like it just reminded me a lot of like what we saw in Requiem for a Dream, like where characters was just spiraling, and you just see that spiral, and the show is like literally beating you over the head and showing you just how dark and fucked up it is. Just imagine that with this this really fat guy, and he just gorging on pizza, and then afterwards vomiting inside of it garbage,
Aronofsky. Yeah, I agree. Because you're selling the whole, effectively, the real world body horror of obesity, like extreme obesity. I get that.
Yes.
And Aronofsky, that is what I feel happened with this. Like I don't know who the license or whatever it is when they time to pick that director. I don't know if it's Aronofsky wanted to do it or whatever it is. The point is, they look at that part of it, and they kind of forget the other part of it. And like on paper, he's a good director to pick for this, because yes, you're doing a lot of male psychological pathology, right?
Yeah.
You got that with the wrestler.
Right. But you have to keep in mind, folks, that this is a psychological drama. It's not just a drama just because. It is psychological. Yeah.
And then you're doing the body horror, well, the real world body horror aspect of it, which you saw with the wrestler as well, right?
Yes.
Which he body mashing up, his body being effectively being broken down over years and no insurance and so on. So on. This is what's happened to a person. And you're getting both sides of it to flip. You're seeing the body, you're seeing the mind, and back and forth, and how they interplay with each other. I get all of that. But it just didn't work with this. Like, it just didn't, I don't know, somewhere it just break and into. And I'm sure it are people like this movie, but I know it just was not flowing for me. I'll probably have to give it a rewatch, but usually a movie will wow me over one way or the other. Like, very rarely movies are the switch on movies in this. Like, same, like with Nope was barely crossed the finish line.
Yeah, and then you watch it again and you appreciate it, which I did. Like, I actually watched it last week. Actually, I was like, hey, I love this film now. Yeah.
Right. Well, I still don't love Nope, but I still slightly appreciate it.
Well, love it in terms of what it's going
to see.
For,
right? Exactly.
So it's not like I don't have it up there like say Get Out or even Us, right?
Exactly.
It is what it is, right? But
exactly. Same thing with this. I feel like I probably will give it a second watch. I'll probably enjoy it a little better. But I don't know. This first viewing, I wasn't feeling it at all. And the main problem is that it was selling the conceit, but I wasn't feeling the both the psychological drama and then the fat side of it, the whole his body and his obesity was just came across as exploitative, and I
Okay.
felt like they could have do a more grounded aspect of this, because we see these kind of stories all the time with somebody
Yes.
who can't leave the house and they're so heavy, you need a crane to lift them up and all this kind of weird stuff, right? I
Yeah.
get what it's trying to
Look, I
do.
think what is where not E&E, wherever that station is,
Yeah, them station.
have shows about what my 600 pound life.
Right, and I'm sure,
Shit
right,
like that. Yeah.
all them reality television shows and whatnot, right? And you see them stories all the time. You used to read this in some magazine somewhere, and some of it was fake, but most of it, a lot of it was real, blah, 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 blah. Point
Right.
is, this, I felt, they really could have, it shouldn't have, he could have played a little more grounded on that in terms of like what it is that people with obesity have to go through. But look, they had to sell it now. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess
I don't know.
I get what you mean, right? There's just a few things before I get to read it, right?
Sure.
So yes, what it is a play, right? But I would admit though it does not, like, in terms of the character of Charlie though. It's just, fat guy, and he just going through a lot of stress, well, with his, personal life or whatnot. But yeah, you don't really get the sense of, oh, there's a really serious problem with him health wise.
Right.
Like we just seen the after effects of it there. Just, you just more or less like thrown into it, right? But there's a few things for you, right? So I would say performance wise, like everybody did their thing, right? Whether it's Brendan Fraser, I think that he buries himself into
He's good.
this character. Like he is
Yeah,
really, really
he's
good
good.
though.
Yeah.
It is undoubtedly one of the best performances I've seen from him, bar none, right?
Right.
Because it's not just, oh, I'm in a fat suit and you're supposed to feel sorry for me.
Right.
Just the way how he conveys that just how hurt he is, right? And you
Yeah,
really
yeah,
you
get it. No, you get at least a sense of depression. It's not like you didn't get sense of depression, because it's clearly depression he's suffering from. Like this, that at least one part of the story.
Right.
But I felt, I don't know, like they could have. Again, I'm on the money quarterback in a little bit, but I felt they could have just really sell it as a more. I felt it should have just been. It should have felt less salacious. If for lack of a
I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
Also to this is a gripe for me though, but I get in the context issue why it's like that. The cinematography itself, like I was actually taken aback because of how dimly lit it was. But then when I understand, okay, well, nearly the entirety show is going to take place indoors, I was like,
right.
All right, but I wouldn't lie. Like the first 10 minutes, I was kind of wondering if something was wrong with my laptop screen. I was like,
no, well,
why is she looking so dark there? But like,
no,
I was like, oh, okay.
No, to me, that is part of it. Like a big part of it is the whole, like, look, there's like, I don't know if there's a stereotype of depressed people, but like he's a depressed man, he's a shut-in.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
so
he's an introvert, but in the worst way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he's a complete, he's a complete recluse. I mean, not
recluse, right? That's it. Yeah,
that's totally reclusive. So, like, I get all of that part of it. All of that makes sense. I was watching all of that. It still didn't gel enough as well as it could have. Whatever, yeah.
All right. Right. So a couple more things, right? The religion aspect about it. I did not expect the emphasis on religion. Right. And it's not like it turned me off, right? But at the same time, I know people who, are religious, right? May be turned off by what's being addressed, right? I accepted it in terms of, yes, this is how real people do accept, the idea of, a higher, a higher being or power or whatnot, right? And that's why we get into Hong Chau's character, right? Because yes, at first she's just like, you know what, like why is this new life people? Why is this guy here? Why is he doing this, right? And even Thomas himself too. You know what I mean? Why he's so adamant and wanting to save Charlie, right? But there's a moment with Liz and where she's talking about, why she's that way, and that really hit for me, right? You could understand why she is so cynical when it comes to religion, right? Now when it comes to Thomas, on the other hand, I was getting where his character was coming from. I was getting the idea of, well, my purpose is to save people. I need to save people the word of God. He keeps hitting him because, people saying, well, like he's saying, he insists that he must save him through the power of God. Like, because it's like, oh, we need to take Charlie to the hospital. Like, no, I need to save you through the power of God, right? But there's a reveal about him near the end. No. All right, in a nutshell, without spoiling anything, I'm not siding with what Thomas said. Like what Thomas says and what he's suggesting here is bad, right? But I could get from his viewpoint, right? Especially the whole idea of, word of God and following God, why he would think that way. It's a bad viewpoint, but I can understand why he's that way. So moments like that, I understand. But but again, I just do know that the religious stuff and the overemphasis on the religious stuff, will turn people off.
Right. No. So this part of it makes some sense to me because look, by all working accounts, he, Brendan Fraser is in he literally in a kind of personal hell he make for himself, right? For lack of a better term, right?
Yes.
And But the problem with religious and the critique of the religious angle is effectively, I mean, religion is toxic positivity taken to the nth degree, at least some religious people, right? Or at least the type of religious person that Thomas represents, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And
And they bring it. Well, sorry to cut you, but they bring it up too. In terms of
yeah,
what he's preaching, right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
there's actually, even though I was kind of hating on Ellie's character, she kind of bring up a actually really good point where she's saying, there are some people who think that because of their religion, it makes them holier than thou, and they think that they're better
Right,
than everybody else. It makes them
right.
assholes.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, no,
I
right.
agree
So
with
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's the
yeah,
whole right. So the whole toxic again. If I don't know when this play was written, but it's one of these ideas that is a kind of dated conceit about how we talk about religion now. Or at least amongst my friends. I don't know anybody still talk about it like this. But yeah, yeah, the whole toxic positivity angle of it, because even if you're not religious, you still have a lot of people who just think a certain way when it comes to how to deal with um Charlie's situation, right?
yes.
And yeah, by all working accounts, you can understand why somebody like Thomas exists. I don't know if he knows. Like, I didn't get the sense he knew about Charlie's the details of his life, but the mere fact that he had the obesity and the homosexuality is a whole, like, to him, yeah, you need to be fixed. Like, I get that. So I
Yeah,
get why he exists, and still have religious people like him. There are a lot of non-nuanced religious people like him. Understand the character, even though the character might feel a little dated, but if that is in the story, it's in the story. It's fine.
yeah.
Again, I don't know when
Right.
this. Somebody needs to tell me when the play was written, so I'm not sure, or when
Let me just find it out quickly, right?
but the time period
It,
is
it, it
now,
was it
right?
was it
So
wow, it came on in 2012. Jesus Christ, like
okay, right,
11 years old, bro. Like, what the hell? But yeah,
right.
all right.
So yeah, so right, so it's around that time is how people used to think about religion, like in terms of the discourse around religion, and oh well, how nuanced you should be about this, and why it is people religious, and so on and so forth, right? And I think at least me and my friends who's been you know spinning the block with these kind of ideas a lot. That is where we reach on it, and we kind of move on to a lot of the outdated conceits about how you should think about religion. So I understand why the play is why it is, because it's 2012. That makes sense, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, I didn't
Well,
I didn't
all right. Well,
I didn't
that's last point. Sorry, but that's last point I just want to make, and then
no
we'll
problem.
get to the final thoughts, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So speaking of religion now, let me just talk about the final moment. Which I'll confess, eh? While it was going on, for a split second, I was thinking about the end of a film called The Father, right? Which Anthony
Okay,
Hopkins starred
right.
in and he won an Oscar
Yeah,
for,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
That
right, right, right.
that
Yeah,
final sequence, I remember I said this in my review.
right.
That made me tear up, boy. That
Yeah,
broke me down, but that was so sad, right?
yeah.
And I was thinking that they were going to go there, right?
Right,
Because this is like the last minutes of Charlie's life, right? Not a
right,
spoiler, but it happens, right? It didn't hit me as hard though, but it came close, I would say, right? Especially with what happens with him and Ellie, right? That
yeah,
that moment I thought was great, right? And then we get, the motif of the beach, right? Yes,
right.
you're right. It does remind me of Terrence Malick and with the
Yeah,
Tree of Life. And what we mean is, I actually love that as a motif of heaven, right? Where yeah, it's a beach, right? So through the story of Tree of Life is the idea that the creatures that were in the sea eventually came on land. So it's like they evolve, right? So yeah, let's just use the beach as
right,
okay, we left it and now we're here, right? So
right,
yeah, all the human beings are on the beach and you saw Sean Penn and blah blah blah, right? But yeah, so I
right.
like that. This is the beach, and but it's a memory, right? Which we saw earlier on with Charlie, right? I assume that it is heaven that he is in. Could he do this kind of David Lynch kind of thing where you just see this bright light? Yes, it's David Lynch inspired. It's that bright light and that kind of thing, and then you
Yeah,
see the image. So I assume that it is a heaven, or this is like the last thing that he thinks about before he dies, right? That makes sense.
right,
Really do think
right.
that he
Yeah.
is dead, right?
And
So I
that's a
I
whole
like
thing.
that
That's a whole thing
aspect
with
of the
near
show.
death. That's a whole thing with near death experiences as well. People who near death claim they see when they claim to see heaven or something like that. That's kind of when you die in your brain. That's supposed to be the last thing you see now, apparently.
Right, right, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So in closing, right, I'll just give my rate to what in closing, I didn't love the film. I didn't like the film, but I appreciate the film for what it is. It's not a show, honestly, I see myself watching again, even as somebody who appreciates Darren Aronofsky's, work, right? It didn't like beat me over the head and left me a bloody mess like, see, Requiem for a Dream, right? But it is an uncomfortable film to sit through. I will confess it didn't get under my nerves like say Blonde, for example, where yeah it was just punishing the character for no reason other than, oh, it's
Right.
Marilyn Monroe, right? In this case,
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
people,
yeah,
I
right.
can understand some people thinking, oh, the show is just, Darren is just punishing, Brendan Fraser's character because he's fat. So let's just show him choking on food and let's show him puking and let's do this and have him force himself out of a chair and wheeze and all that kind of stuff because he's fat, man. I didn't see that, but I can understand some people seeing it that way, right? But just as a just seeing this character deconstruct, do it hit me. It hit me not as much as I expected, but it hit me, right? The complexity of the character worked as well too, but that also I would say is the big strength and weakness of the film, right? Because yes, we don't want to, we don't want to show Brendan's character as a victim, right? Oh, like we should feel sorry for him because he's fat, right? He did a lot of bad things in his life. He confessed this. He made a lot of bad choices. He confesses this in the film. But just what get me for me though is just how it's just the cynical nature of it, where everybody just pretty much just talking down to him
Right.
and like yeah, ever so often he will defend himself though, but it's just like everybody just lashes out to him in their own specific way, even right down to Thomas too. Like, oh, I need to save you, right? It was just too much for me in my opinion. But Ellie though, the character of Ellie just got under my nerves because she was just being bitchy for the sake of it. But again, I understand
Right.
why, right? But the acting works, the direction works, the cinematography took a while to get to me, but it worked too. The music worked as well too, even though I felt that at points it was a little abrasive because again we need to show just how bad the self destruction is. But
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of
Well.
the day,
Yeah.
written wise, not like 3 out of 5 for me, man. It
Right.
was I for what it is, right? I really don't see myself watching this again, though. It does deserve its Oscar noms. I'd be happy honestly if it wins Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Best Actor, I'll be shocked if it win.
Right.
Best Supporting Actress, I mean, as much as Hong Chow do she thing, I really do see her winning that, but she could
Right.
surprise me. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I can understand why people are divided by it, right? It
Yeah.
will work for you or it won't work for you. It kind of just is what it is for me, right? But
Yeah.
in no way do I see myself watch this again, to be honest. But yeah, Ricardo, your final thoughts on it?
Yeah. Yeah. 6 out of 10. It is not bad, but it just didn't gel together as well as it could have been. And I think it was because I have such high standards for Aronofsky. Like when he do something, because like even with something like Noah was ambitious, but it was like again, I put Noah in any kind of noble failure camp, right? This is not a noble failure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
This is not a noble failure. This is just
right.
like a kind of this just don't work. Like it not. I don't think it's bad, right? I'm still giving it a 6 out of 10. But I just felt they could have just do more with it than just I don't know. Again, as you say, punch up maybe. I don't know. It just didn't come together as well as it could have. And again, it's not more than the sum of its parts. That is my problem with it. It's just the parts. That's it. Like moving on. So yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
moving on.
Mhm.